All right, what's up guys? Kenny Tunison here. Welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a very, very fun video. I'm going to go over and assess and talk about the funniest, dumbest, most stupid, whatever you want to classify them as, lifting myths, okay? So things that the mainstream lifting community has told us that are just complete and utter lies. So to start things off, the first one got written down on my phone here. The first one is that natural lifters, hit plateaus after 5 to 6 years of training naturally. Now, I have heard Greg Doucette say this. I have heard many, many other famous fitness influencers, gurus, whatever you want to call them, okay, at this point. I've heard a lot of them say this, and this is just not true at all. Will your gains slow down as a natural? Yes, but not after 5 to 6 years, all right? It's going to be individual and depend on the person. You're going to be different than me, all right? You might slow down after 2 years of training, all right? Maybe you'll slow down after 4 years, or I'll slow down after 1 year, okay? It's all about our programming, our technique when we're lifting, and of course our consistency and intensity as well. Okay, all those things jumbled together and doing the movements, the workouts that are going to keep us consistent, right? Keep us going to the gym, keep us enjoying the gym, you know, that's what's going to get you to keep growing as a natural, all right? There isn't just this magical number of years if you're training for, and then it's just, all right, no more gains, or they're just going to completely come to a halt. Now, if your gains do come to a halt, right? They slow down tremendously. You're not growing anymore because, let's face it, you should be checking your measurements if you're into natural bodybuilding, if you classify yourself as a bodybuilder, I guess. Bodybuilder by night, okay? But you should be keeping track of your measurements. And if you notice that your progress is stalling, all right, it's just completely stopped, you may have to take a deeper look at your training program, how you're going about things, okay? Because it might just be a little tweak that you have to make, all right? Like a itsy bitsy tweak. And, you know, then it could just make the whole difference and you'll start growing again. But definitely not true at all right? You're not gonna lose all your gains after 5 to 6 years of training. I've also heard guys say, you know, 8 years of training, I've gotten all I could out of my natural gains. Time to hop on the sauce. It's just a excuse to hop on steroids, all right? They're trying to make themselves feel better. Don't go down that path, all right? Unless you want to be an IFBB pro or something. All right, number 2, you have to dirty bulk / or bulk to gain muscle. Now, this might make a lot of you question me, all right? You might not agree with this, but I personally don't think you need to bulk to gain muscle. But your progress is going to be way, way slower if you don't bulk. So I guess we can say not bulking is main gaining. Okay, just maintaining, main gaining is what they call it. You're at like caloric, just neutral, all right? You're not in the deficit, in the surplus, you're just maintaining. And I do think naturals can still gain muscle from doing this. And I believe that because I used to do it. And I used to gain muscle very, very slowly, all right? My arms, my legs, my chest, my back. Now, my training was very, very intense. My training has pretty much always been intense. That's just the way I like going about things. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all out, all right? But I did grow. So therefore, I think naturals can grow while maintaining. Do I recommend it? Not anymore, all right? Now that I'm in a slight surplus, you know, I'm eating good food, all right, I'm at a body fat percentage of about 15 to 16%. This is the way to go, in my opinion. If you're a natural, it's just the best way to gain muscle and look good at the same time, all right? Now, number 3, gaining strength on the big 3 compound lifts equals gaining muscle mass. Now, this is a tough one to go about, but just because someone benches 315 or 405 does not mean they're going to have 17-inch arms, 18-inch arms. And if someone can do, let's say, a 405 squat, it doesn't even mean that they're going to have big legs. Okay, it's all about training and programming, right? Powerlifters, there are so many powerlifters out there that are way smaller than me, but they can lift way more than me. All right, it's because that's the way they train. They're training for powerlifting. Okay, I train for bodybuilding, hypertrophy, putting on muscle. So my numbers when it comes to the bench, squat, even deadlift, they're respectable, but they're not like jaw dropping. But that doesn't mean you can't get big. All right, it's better to do isolations for the arms if you want big arms. All right, not saying not to do compounds, but you need to focus on the arms. And isolations, they make all the difference. Okay, you want big arms, you have to do them. Now, there are guys out there who say, if you bench 405, you're guaranteed to have 17-inch arms. This is not the case. And we've seen this with a lot of popular YouTubers. I'm not going to name any, but we have seen this, okay? I can't bench 405. I can't even bench close to 405, but I have 17.25-inch arms. All right, I just hit 315 2 months ago because it was something I just wanted to see if I could do. All right, now I don't care anymore. All right, I'm back to the bodybuilding style of training, and that's all I really care about. Just because someone says this certain number on the lift is going to give you, X amount of inches on your arms, it's not the case, all right? I went through the same thing in sports growing up, okay? I was a baseball player for a long time, and they called this thing the 90 mile per hour formula. We got a plane flying overhead, that's what you guys hear. But it was called the 90 mile per hour formula, and they said if you could long toss a baseball 300 feet, if you could reverse lunge, I think it was like 200 something pounds, and if you could do a weighted chin up of 245 pounds for like 1 rep or whatever, you can throw 90 miles an hour. Like, you're guaranteed to throw 90. So there was a time when I could do all of those things, and I didn't even come close to throwing 90 miles an hour. All right, I threw like 78, okay, because pitching in baseball is a whole mechanical thing, a timing thing. All right, it's an explosive thing. And I'm not gonna say lifting's the same way, like bench pressing, squatting, deadlifting, but you're moving the body pretty explosively on these movements. All right, there's definitely something there to be talked about. All right, but I'm not really going to talk about it anymore, just because, again, you bench this amount of weight doesn't mean you're going to have, 17-inch arms or 18-inch arms. Okay, number 4, machines are better for muscle growth than free weights or vice versa. Now, this is a touchy subject right now. All right, you guys know, if you've been tuning into anything on here on YouTube, there's like the bros who just want to lift heavy weight, right? They want to do the barbell stuff. And then there's like machine guys, like, oh, the machines are more optimal or whatever. My belief is that you can gain the same amount of muscle doing either of them, okay? Just because I favor the barbell, the dumbbell, the free weights, doesn't mean it's necessarily better, all right? That's just what I like doing. That's what I enjoy doing in the gym. And I know that that is what is going to keep me coming back to the gym. Now, if you're a machine guy and that's your case, right? You love doing machines, do machines, okay? It's all about the way you go about it, all right? I'm not a big believer in reps in reserve, all right? I'm a big believer in just balls to the wall in every set, gradually increasing the weights once you master a weight and going from there, all right? The real progressive overload, not adding 5 pounds every week. And if you do that, either machines or free weights, you're going to build your best physique. All right, number 5, you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours to gain muscle. This has kind of become a huge thing ever since guys really started beefing up, bulking up, during the mass monster era of bodybuilding. You guys saw, I'm sure you've seen the Jay Cutler, you know, he's like just morbidly obese, right? There's like this whole, just like 200 pounds of fat over his massive frame. And he's, you know, he's like eating late at night or something, like hunched over at a table. You really don't need to do that to gain muscle, okay? You can even do something like intermittent fasting, all right? You can fast in the morning till like 12 o'clock, you know, lunchtime. Have big brunch, I guess you can call it, and then wait all the way till dinner, have a big dinner. All that matters is that you're getting all the nutrients in, the right amount of protein, all right, enough protein, quality protein, and just quality nutrients, all right? Don't eat ultra-processed bullshit food, all right? Eat a whole food diet and get enough sleep, okay? You'll build muscle. You don't have to eat every 2 hours, all right? Get 400, 500 grams of protein in. You just don't have to do these things, all right? All right, number 6. You need to take supplements in order to gain muscle, perform your best. Now, I do take supplements, but you don't need them, all right? The word supplement means supplement, all right? You're supplementing something for another thing. So if you can't get, let's say, enough protein in the day from whole foods from your regular diet, let's say you'll put in a whey protein shake, all right? Have one of those, gives you 40, 50 grams of protein, depending on how much you put in there. You're supplementing that in order to get more protein because you can't fill that need from your diet, right? Creatine, I do like creatine. I take creatine because it works for me, but it doesn't work for everybody. So you got to find out if creatine is really giving you that edge, all right? Because this stuff is expensive, all right? Supplements they're a moneymaker, okay? This whole business of bodybuilding, it's sad to say, but it's a moneymaker, all right? Everyone thinks they need all these things. You really don't, all right? Again, as long as you're getting enough protein in, you're pretty much good to go. You don't need creatine. Will it maybe give you an edge? Yes, okay? But it's not for everybody. It's not going to work for everybody. Other supplements, I do take citrulline malate. I don't really see a difference though, so I don't think I'm going to stay on it. And I don't take anything else, all right? I think everything else is just bullshit, all right? I hate to say it, but if something does work for you though, and you know it works for you, keep taking it, of course. You know, you got to kind of tread the waters here and figure out what works for you, and if it doesn't, throw it away. All right, now number 7, and this is a tough one because I even see some popular natural bodybuilding channels saying this, but that is to compare yourself to others. And I just hate this, okay? You should not be comparing yourself to anybody else. The only person you should be comparing yourself to, and I hate to sound cliche here, all right, a little corny, but it's the truth, is the person you were yesterday. All right, if you are improving, progressing, that's all that matters. All right, don't go on Instagram and see somebody and start comparing yourself to them because you are not them and they are not you. All right, I don't really think I have to say anything else on that, but you haven't lived their life, they haven't lived your life. It's just, you're two different people. All right, you can't compare yourself to other people. Now, you can be inspired by other people, and I think that's what these other channels are trying to say. Like, you see somebody with big arms, let's say, you're like, I want to get arms like that. You can be inspired by people, but to just always compare yourself to others, oh, he has 17-inch arms. I only have 15-inch arms, like, who cares? Okay, as long as you're just going out there and just, going balls to the wall, training your ass off, right? That's all that matters, okay? Improving off of the person that you were yesterday. That is all that matters, all right? But that is it for today. I feel like I have rambled on for way too long, okay? Let me know if you guys want to see a part 2 of this, all right? This is kind of fun, all right? I feel like I flew through this video. But of course, as always, thank you for watching, and God bless.